want to make the best patata bravas, and today I'm going to show you what I used to make in the restaurants here in Barcelona. This is an extremely delicious recipe, and I'll show you the easy way of doing it today because there's another way of making the salsa that takes a lot longer, which I'm going to show you a shortcut. But patata bravas are the second, if not the most, well, the second at least, most popular tapa in Spain. You will see this in every tapas bar that you go to, and salsa brava typically goes with it, as well as aioli. And speaking of aioli, I did make a video not too long ago. It is in Spanish, but I'll leave the link down below and it has subtitles as well. But if you want to see it, you can click here, and it is a very good recipe that I made. It's a short video, so it won't take up too much of your time. But guys, before we get going today, be sure to like the video down below, support the channel out by subscribing as well, it's very important to me, and share as well with your friends, that will definitely help, and let's get started. So guys, to start this recipe out, the most important thing that we're going to start with, and the first thing, are the potatoes. Now here, specifically, they use a type of potato that's called agria. It's specifically for patata bravas or for frying in general. Now, if you can't find this potato, then you can substitute it with Yukon Gold, Kennybags, any other good potato that's good for frying. It's not necessary that you actually go out just to buy one type of potato to just use for one dish. It's not necessary. Whatever's practical, whatever works for you. Now, to make this, either one, you can leave the skin on, or two, you can peel it. Me, I'm going to peel mine, as always, in the sink or with something under it. But if you do want to leave the skin on, that's fine. Just give them a wash before you do this to take off any of the excess dirt. Now to cut these, I'm going to cut these into little cubes. So again, I'm just going to cut them from top to bottom, flip them, cut them in half again, top to bottom, and then turn them and then cut them in small cubes. This way it'll be easier for us to fry them, and make sure that you keep them in more or less the same size. Now we're gonna cook these potatoes twice today. We're not gonna parboil, but we're first going to, well, not confit, but cook these on a lower temperature in the oil until they're almost done. So get a pot out, fill it up with oil. I'm gonna reuse the oil that I had for the last video for the mozzarella sticks. And I am using olive oil for this. You don't have to. You can use either canola oil, soybean oil, whatever works for you. Olive oil is cheaper for us here, and it's the normal thing to use when frying. I'm gonna put this up to about 180 centigrade, more or less. Now I'm not gonna dump the potatoes in all at once. I'm going to take a portion of them and put them in little by little. This is all about safety, especially when using hot oil. And if you're using gas as well, you want to be extra careful for obvious reasons. So you're just going to cook these, you're going to bring it up to 180, put the potatoes in, let these cook for about 2 to 3 minutes on high heat or at 180. After those several minutes, you're going to drop the temperature down to low, or 1 in my case on the induction, and you're just going to cook these until the potatoes are soft, until a knife will go through them or a toothpick, whatever. And you want to make sure that you have a little tray on the side with a little bit of paper, or at least a tray with a wire rack, so you can take the potatoes out when you have to. So everything's ready. Now while the potatoes are cooking, I'm going to make our salsa brava, because this is going to take the longest besides the potatoes. We want to work in order. We do have a lot of ingredients for this, but this is still not the full recipe that I normally use. This is an easier one and cheaper to make as well. So first I'm going to burn wash my onions. If you want to learn how to burn wash your onions easily, I made a video not too long ago, which I'll leave a link in the description down below, which will teach you a step-by-step process on how to cut an onion. Then I'm going to take my pot, pour a decent amount of oil in, put the onions in. I'm going to take a bulb of garlic, and I'm only doing half the recipe as well. So I'm only going to use about 8 cloves of garlic, whole cloves. You don't have to cut them up. I'm going to throw that in the pot as well. A few bay leaves. Then I'm going to measure out the amount of paprika or pimenton that I'm going to use. I'm going to use smoked pimenton, and I'm also going to use sweet pimenton. You want the smoked flavor. This will add a lot of flavor to it. And then I'm also going to use cumin. So after you have some color on the onions, after you've been cooking them down and they've caramelized, then you can add the spices to the mix And we're also going to add a can of whole tomatoes. You can use whole, you can use also already pureed, but whatever you use, you want to make sure that it's ready before adding everything in so you're not scrambling at the last minute. And we're going to reduce this on medium heat for about 20 minutes. You want to keep an eye on this. This is just going to keep cooking. Now, while this is cooking, we're going to check the potatoes. If they're done, take them out. If they're not, keep checking them. And when they are done, you're going to take the oil off the heat, let the potatoes sit, and you can put them in the fridge as well, which will help dry them out a little faster. It'll help cool them down. Then after about 20 minutes, more or less, 20-30 minutes, I'm going to take my sauce. Now here you have two options. Either one, you can add a little bit of tomato paste to thicken the sauce. This is option one. This will be perfectly fine. It'll thicken the sauce. Or two, you can take another tray. We're going to put the sauce into the tray and then we're going to put it in the oven on maximum temperature, or at least as high as my oven will go, on 250 centigrade. And we're going to leave this in the oven for about 40 minutes to an hour. This will reduce all the sauce, so we won't have to add any tomato paste, and so it will enhance a lot of the flavor. So you have one or two options, either option one, tomato paste, or two, the oven. But whatever you choose, you're either going to one, blend the sauce or pass it through a food mill. If you don't have the food mill, we're going to blend it and then pass it through a chinois. Salsa Brava does not have a perfect recipe. That's only one method of making it. There are many different types of Salsa Brava. This one is gluten-free, so we haven't used any flour whatsoever. So this could be a good option for you if you are gluten intolerant. Now, since we're cooking the potatoes the second time, we want to fry these fast and hot. So you want the oil at 180 or a little higher. And I'm going to portion these. I'm just going to take half of them and put them in the fryer. And as you can tell, I'm going to take them in gently. I'm not going to just drop them in. This is a very important thing whenever you're frying. You never drop anything in the oil. It will splash and it can hurt you. Now, while this is frying, you want to leave them for about a minute or two before moving them. This will allow the potatoes to develop a little bit of a skin or a crust, so they won't stick when you go to move them. And after a minute, move them a little bit, just so they don't brown too much on the bottom if they're sticking to the bottom. And that's it. After they have a nice golden brown color to them, or if they start floating, they're finished. Again, you want to have another tray with some paper next to it, so that way, as soon as they're done, you can take them out of the fryer or out of the pot and put them into the area to dry. And then as soon as they come out, you have to season the potatoes if you want to season them the moment they come out of the fryer. This is very important. Otherwise, the salt or whatever the spice you're using will not stick to the potatoes. Now, since I don't have any piping bags, I'm going to invent a little trick. If you don't have any, you can take a Ziploc bag and you're going to use the corner, and you're just going to put either the aioli or the salsa brava into the corner, tie a knot in it, cut off a portion of the end, and now you're going to pipe that onto the potatoes, as you see, and that's it. They're extremely tasty and delicious, and I hope I taught you guys a few lessons or a few tricks that you haven't known before. And like I said, guys, if you have any questions or comments on any of my videos, or if you have any suggestions as well, be sure to write me down below. It's very important to me. Also, be sure to subscribe, like the video, and share as well, since I'm a small YouTuber. Thank you everyone for watching my videos and supporting me so far, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care.